So, after these introductory remarks, it is my great pleasure to welcome again His Excellency, the Ambassador of Spain, and Mr. Viguera. The floor is yours for your keynote speech. Thank you very much.
So thank you very much, Nectaria, for this presentation. I think in your presentation, you sum up all the challenges that the European Union and all member states have in front of us for the next few years. In my presentation, I will try a bit to develop some of the elements of your presentation, but trying to focus on what's going on right now, particularly in Europe, vis-a-vis the increasing gas prices and the increasing electricity prices. What has been the reaction of some member countries? What should be the reaction of the European Union? And what are the challenges for the foreseeable future? Of course, this is not the position of Spain as such. This is my personal contribution for this panel of energy experts, because I was partly in my career doing energy issues. Of course, my statement do not necessarily reflect the official position of Spain. Well, basically, summing up, we all know what the Green Deal is about. It's the European response for the climate change and environmental degradation of the world. And our intention is to have a first climate neutral continent in 2050. For this, there will be a lot of money needed, and roughly a third of the next generation EU recovery plan will be dedicated to that aim. Besides, of course, an important part of the financial perspectives of the European budget and finance of the European Union. The Fit for 55 package is a new set of proposals by the European Commission to try to update, mostly update EU legislation to make sure that by 2030, the greenhouse gas emission will be reduced by at least 55% in 2030 compared to 1990 levels. The Commission presented the package on July 14th, and it's already been discussed at the European Parliament level and will be discussed by the Council. There are many pieces of legislation being discussed, some of them of incredible, difficult, technically, questions. Some of them are extremely important, so it will take a lot of time to revise, to discuss. Probably by 2024, 25, new targets will be established, taking into consideration the different positions of member states, and also a model in order to secure the implementation by different member states of this new legislation that is going to be approved in the next few years. The most important of this legislation will be the revision of the EU emission trading system, the revision of the effort sharing regulations, the revision of the Renewable Energy Directive, the recast of the Energy Efficiency Directive, the Energy Tax Directive revision, and the Carbon Border Adjustment Mechanism. There will be others, also very important, and of course, the Social Climate Fund will be of a paramount relevance as well. But now we have a major problem. And even before we start discussing the new legislation in order to secure our ambitious targets by 2030, we are facing with an unexpected situation with a big increases in the price of gas. Due to different factors, international factors, such as the demand of China, which is also moving away from carbon, and entering into a new phase of renewables. Also, European factors, such as also the increase in Europe due to house heating or air conditioning this summer, remote working, COVID conditions, industrial output after COVID, increased coal and oil prices. There have been also some important supply problems, output interruptions by Norway, by Russia. There even have been allegations about market manipulation by Gazprom, who are being studied by the Commission right now, etc., etc. Insufficient storage. The new gas structure in Europe, by which contracts are independent on more and more independent of oil prices. So this has increased substantially also the price of gas. And although scenarios may substantially vary from country to country, electricity prices are present hiking all around Europe. In some countries, although gas is not so determined, in some countries like Spain or Italy, this has had a direct effect on the hikes of the price of electricity. The Commission has also admitted that 20% of the increased electricity prices is due also to the higher cost of carbon through the European trading system. In Spain, wholesale electricity prices have more than tripled since December 2020, sparking an irrational political blame game. Today, the price of electricity in Spain is 190 euros megawatt hour. It's a record. And I was saying gas in itself is not so important in the Spanish energy mix. Also is not so important as electrical generation. It's roughly 26%. But as I was explaining to some colleagues before, it is very, very important as a sort of backup electricity for the backup electricity system, since giving the intermittency of renewables and also the small, relatively small, getting bigger, we hope in the future, interconnection capacity with France. So we depend very much on the intervention of the combined cycle gas turbine plants, which are many of Spain. Whenever there is a need to supply this high demand of electricity and there is no sufficient renewables, or taking the fact that we function as an island because we cannot export that much electricity to France and to the continent yet. Of course, we are facing nowadays so many negative effects of this hiking in electricity prices, supply chains disrupted, inflation. We are seeing this peak of inflation. Some people think that may last for some time. Reduced disposable income for poor households, affect, of course, at the end, economic activity and growth, and last but not least, social tension and social unrest. And this is what has caused mainly national government to intervene. One question would be how this electricity peak prices can last. Well, for the same reason, the reasons can't be explained, as I was saying before. These reasons may not last forever. Most probably, there will be other factors that may be intervening in the foreseeable future to make these prices go down. For example, increased production of LNG. We're seeing already in the United States some new investments in fracking. Norway and Russia eventually may normalize supplies. Gas stocks in Europe can be replenished. There may be better conditions. Rest production will be bigger. Rest intakes will be also more possible, etc., etc. You see here in this presentation what the provision is. So it will be some months of this peak in the price of electricity, but all of a sudden, let's say by the beginning of half of next year, prices of electricity will go down. And one of the prices we expect to go down sharply will be Spain, precisely. Okay. Greece, Spain, and Italy have introduced national measures in order to cope with the situation. Additionally, in Spain, we have the problem of gas supply. You know that Algeria and Morocco has cut diplomatic relations in the last few weeks, and this may be a cause of Algeria interrupting gas supply through Morocco, and having an additional effect on gas price in Spain and also on electricity. But here they are, Sanchez, Draghi, Mitsotakis, European leaders, only a couple of weeks ago in the meeting of Med9 in Athens, asked the European Commission to intervene. Von der Leyen was kept at surprise. They didn't have any reply by then, but now, with the time passing, new replies are coming in. The Commission is preparing a sort of a toolbox of European Union measures that mainly will basically take value-added tax reduction and also some excise duties, eventually using direct support to help member countries to cope with the situation. To finish, I would just simply say what we need now, national or EU solutions, always in the framework of the Fit for 55. Of course, this energy transition will be very long, and the present crisis, the hiccup, is a mere test. So we need it facing speedily and successfully as soon as possible. And the European Union should come and advise us, all of us, with a acceptable legislative framework so that member states can speedily implement new measures, or they can just adapt the measures that are already being taken. Climate targets are ambitious in Europe, but many of the pieces of the legislation included in for 55 are difficult to implement. Some of them require a lot of clarification. Also, some of them have fiscal nature, so it will require unanimity and will be difficult to negotiate. And some of them present extremely difficult technical difficulties, such as the carbon border adjustment mechanism. So we'll see what this will bring about. I expect that in the next European Council in October, a whole set of proposals by the Commission will be discussed by member states, and this crisis, we will have the necessary means to tackle this crisis without any further social tension. But of course, there are the questions to see what will happen in the medium term and what will happen in the long term. And I hope very much that the European Union will be able to keep its ambition and set the goals for the future of the world in a more green environment. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency. It was really an inspiring and insightful speech. So starting from His Excellency, Mr. Ambassador, we have seen that Spain invests a lot on green hydrogen. You're going to direct almost 1.5 billion from the RRF over the next 3 years. And also PPAs really have a significant momentum. I think more than 50 contracts were signed from last year. So what is the success story? What are the key messages to take on elsewhere in Europe? Thank you.
Well, indeed, green hydrogen will be very important in Spain, and the Spain's government commitment is to become an industrial hub of green hydrogen. And for that, it is expected that there will be at least 4 gigawatts installed by 2030. And 9 billion euros should be invested for 2030 in this case. For 2050, it is expected that 1/3 of the fuel used for land transport will be green hydrogen. So there are many projects ongoing, very important right now in the province of Guadalajara between an American company and Iberdrola. Will put a production of renewable hydrogen in 2023 with a capacity of 500 megawatt a year this year. So I mean, we are talking about new things. As for PPAs, yes, this is a very good news for us, because as far as I know, almost a third or more of the PPAs signed in Europe in the last 2 years have been in Spain, precisely. And this is not a coincidence. It's the fact that most of these PPAs involve solar farms establishment. Usually big utilities are the providers of these PPAs, and big companies are also receiving of this renewable energy. And still the contracts are for 10 years. So there is a lot of things to do, and our expectation, and that's the reason why I said it before, is that the price of energy, of electricity, will substantially be reduced in the foreseeable future. And one of the reasons precisely is the expansion of these PPA agreements in Spain.
It is great that you have all this climate ambition. We share this vision, and we are also trying to follow.